The sky above Cairn Station was the color of old steel, layered with storm clouds that never moved. Elias Vance stood at the observation window, hands clasped behind his back, watching distant defense platforms drift in slow, synchronized orbits. Each one carried enough firepower to burn a city to ash. Each one answered to a single name: Empress Maleth of the Virex Dominion. She was coming. The alert chime echoed softly through the chamber, a respectful sound chosen long ago so it wouldn't startle diplomats or scientists. Elias didn't turn around when the voice spoke. "She's crossed the boundary," said Director Hahn. 3 carriers, 12 assault wings, and a ground force large enough to claim this entire system. Elias nodded once. "She won't fire yet." Hahn hesitated. "How can you be so sure?" "Because she didn't come for the station," Elias replied. "She came for her child. 20 years earlier, the child hadn't been called an heir or a weapon. She had been called Specimen Theta 9. Elias could still remember the lab. White walls, sterile air, and the faint hum of containment fields. He had been young then, fresh from the academy, brilliant but unimportant. Theta 9 was different. She was small, fragile-looking, with skin that shimmered faintly like pearl under the lights. Her eyes had followed him whenever he entered the room, not with fear, but curiosity. "She's adapting faster than projected," one of the senior xenobiologists had said. "Neural growth is exponential." "She's a child," Elias had replied quietly. "She's Virex," the man corrected. "And the Empress abandoned her." That last part had been a lie. Elias would learn that much later. The Virex Dominion had claimed the infant was lost during a border skirmish, her escape pod destroyed. Humanity had found the pod drifting near an asteroid belt, intact. And instead of returning her, they had studied her, raised her, watched her mind bloom into something extraordinary. Her name, the one Elias gave her in secret, was Lyra. "She has a name," Elias said now aloud, to the empty chamber. Director Hahn shifted uneasily. "Elias, Maleth is known for erasing planets over insults. If she believes we're holding her offspring..." "She knows," Elias interrupted. "She's always known." Hahn stared at him. "Then why wait 20 years? Elias finally turned. His face was calm, but his eyes carried the weight of decades. Because Lyra wasn't ready. And because Maleth feared what her daughter might become. A new alert flared red across the holotable. A single vessel detached from the lead carrier and began its approach. "She's requesting a parley," an officer said. Hahn looked at Elias. "Just her?" "Just her," Elias confirmed. "That's how you know this isn't an invasion." "Not yet." The Empress of the Virex Dominion was taller than any human, her posture regal, her presence oppressive. Bioluminescent patterns pulsed slowly along her dark armor, each glow a living symbol of authority. When she stepped into the parley chamber, the air itself seemed to tighten. Elias stood alone to meet her. "You are the architect," Maleth said, her voice layered, as if multiple tones spoke in unison. "The one who hid her from me." "I didn't hide her," Elias replied evenly. "I protected her." Maleth's eyes burned with restrained fury. "You dissected her culture, measured her thoughts, raised her among primitives." "She learned compassion," Elias said. "Something your dominion beats out of its children." A ripple of energy ran through Maleth's armor. The guards outside tensed, but she lifted one clawed hand, stopping them. "I did not come to debate philosophy," she said. "I came to reclaim what is mine." "She's not an object," Elias replied. "And she's not a weapon." Maleth leaned closer, towering over him. "Everything born of the Virex is a weapon, including her." "Then you taught her wrong," Elias said softly. Lyra watched from the upper observation ring, heart racing. She had known this moment would come. She had dreamed of it. Her mother's face, the voice she barely remembered from infancy. Part of her longed to run into Malith's arms. Another part, the part shaped by Elias and humanity, was afraid. "She's powerful," Lyra whispered. "I can feel her through the field." Elias's voice came through her implant. "I know. But remember what you are, Lyra. Not what she wants you to be." "What if she's right?" Lyra asked. "What if I belong with her?" "You belong to yourself," Elias said. "And to the choices you make." Lyra closed her eyes, reaching out with her mind, not toward Malith, but toward the fleet. She felt it instantly, a vast, interconnected consciousness woven through every ship and soldier. The Virex didn't merely obey orders, they were neurologically bound to their Empress. An army with a single mind and a single weakness. Back in the chamber, Malith's patience thinned. "Release her," she demanded, "or I will take her. Your defenses will fall in less than an hour." Elias nodded slowly. "You're right. We can't stop your army." Malith smiled, a sharp, alien curve. "Then you understand." "But she can," Elias continued. The smile vanished. "What?" At that moment, the lights flickered. A low hum filled the station as Lyra stepped into the chamber, unarmed, her eyes glowing faintly. "Mother," she said. Malith froze. For the first time in decades, the Empress of the Virex Dominion looked uncertain. "You," Malith breathed. "You've grown." Lyra nodded. "So have you. But not in the ways that matter." Malith recovered quickly. "Come to me," she commanded, instinctively projecting dominance. Lyra staggered, but did not fall. "I felt that," Lyra said, voice steady. "Your control, your hold over them." She gestured, and suddenly the hum intensified. Across the void, Virex ships faltered. Formation patterns broke. Weapons powered down. Malith's eyes widened in shock. "Impossible. The bond is absolute." "It was," Lyra replied, "until I learned how it works." Elias watched silently as history pivoted. Lyra continued, her voice carrying a resonance that echoed through the fleet. "You designed the bond to ensure loyalty, but you never considered consent. You never imagined someone might rewrite it." Malith took a step back. "You would dare fracture the Dominion?" "I already have," Lyra said. "I didn't break the bond. I gave them a choice." One by one, signals across the hollow table shifted from crimson to neutral blue. Soldiers hesitated. Ships powered down engines. The single mind of the Virex fractured into millions of individual thoughts, confused, afraid, and suddenly free. Malith screamed, a sound of rage and grief. "You would doom us to chaos." "No," Lyra said gently. "I would give you a future." She stepped closer to her mother. "You came for me with an army because you were afraid. Afraid that I'd become something you couldn't control." Malith's voice dropped to a whisper. "I feared you would surpass me." Lyra smiled sadly. "I have, but not by ruling through fear." The Empress looked around, at the silent chamber, at the man who had raised her child, at the daughter who had undone an empire without firing a single shot. Slowly, Malith sank to one knee. Gasps echoed through the station. "What would you have me do?" Malith asked. Lyra took her hand. "Stand down. Let them choose their leaders. Let the Dominion evolve." Malith closed her eyes. When she opened them, the bioluminescent patterns on her armor dimmed. "So be it," she said. Weeks later, the Virex fleet had withdrawn. Some ships returned home. Others remained, ambassadors rather than conquerors. The Dominion began the painful process of redefining itself. Elias stood once more at the observation window, this time watching Lyra as she spoke with delegates from a dozen worlds. She changed everything, Director Han said beside him. Elias nodded. She always was going to. Han smiled faintly. You stopped an army without firing a shot. Elias shook his head. No. I just taught a child how to choose. Lyra turned and caught his eye, smiling with gratitude and love. The storm clouds above Karen Station began, for the first time in recorded history, to break apart, revealing a sky not of steel, but of stars. And somewhere in that vastness, a future unfolded that no army could ever conquer. The war never came. That fact alone reshaped history more than any battle ever could. In the weeks that followed, the galaxies struggled to understand what had happened. Entire intelligence networks failed to explain how the Virex Dominion, an empire that had crushed civilizations for centuries, had simply stopped. No bombardment, no occupation, just silence followed by withdrawal. Inside the Dominion, the change was seismic. For the first time, Virex soldiers felt thoughts that were their own. Fear, doubt, hope. Many abandoned their posts. Others returned home and stared at their children, realizing they had never truly chosen anything in their lives. Some cursed Lyra's name. Others whispered it like a prayer. And Empress Malith, no longer Empress in anything but memory, vanished from public view. Lyra never saw her mother again, but she felt her, not as a command, not as control, just presence. A distant, quiet awareness, free, uncertain, and finally honest. Elias watched Lyra from the balcony of Karen Station as the first interstellar council formed beneath her guidance. Humans, Virex, species that once hid in fear now sat at the same table. It wasn't peace, not yet. It was something harder. Choice. You could have ruled them, Elias said quietly. They would have followed you. Lyra shook her head. That would have made me her. She turned to him, eyes reflecting the stars. You didn't stop her army by building a weapon. You stopped it by raising a child who could say no. Elias felt something tighten in his chest, pride, grief, relief, all at once. I just gave you the chance, he said. You did the rest. As Lyra stepped forward to address the galaxy, not as a queen, not as a conqueror, but as a bridge, Elias understood something that history would later struggle to name. Empires fall to force. Armies break under resistance. But domination ends only when someone chooses humanity over power. And in that moment, as countless worlds listened, the galaxy took its first breath without fear, knowing that no army, no throne, and no empire would ever again be stronger than a single child taught how to choose.